The Secretary of State is a governing body in each state at this level, rather than the federal level. But essentially, the Secretary of State office acts as a central hub for ensuring that all businesses are operating legally and compliantly with the various state regulations in said state. They will manage new business registrations, business formations, business name availability. So when you go to register, oftentimes if there is a company with a very similar name, you can't actually use your legal name. They also maintain the various business records, and then they play an administrative role with the UCC, which is the Uniform Commercial Code Administration as well. So the Secretary of State has various regulations stating whether you need to register or not. So most Secretary of States require that a business register when they are deemed as doing business or transacting business in the state. And every state has a different definition of that. So in 29 states, if you're hiring a remote employee in the state, you're required to register with Secretary of State regardless of what that remote employee's roles or responsibilities are. But in the additional 22 states, when you hire that remote employee, taking into consideration what that remote employee is doing. So if they're doing sales or they're an executive, 99% of the time that's going to require a registration at the Secretary of State level. But if they're just an administrative person or an ops person, that may not trigger the need. But when you start thinking about those various requirements, not only do remote employees trigger a Secretary of State requirement, but you also have to consider your economic nexus. So have you hit the economic nexus in various states? Some are based on number of transactions and other based on the dollar amount of revenue that you're doing in the state. You also have to consider, do you have physical locations? That could be a distribution center, a warehouse, an office, and then at times being a professional organization, so being a law firm or being an insurance broker, a real estate firm, various things like that have specialty licensings. Those can also trigger registration requirements with the Secretary of State. So if you're not sure that you need to register, there's two things I'd suggest someone do. The first being, you can go onto the various Secretary of State websites and you can search them and go, okay, what are the requirements to register? What does the state deem doing business? Or you could hire someone, whether it be a lawyer or a firm like AbstractOps, to go through and actually evaluate that for you based on what you're doing in every state. Say, okay, you've triggered this nexus or this nexus, then now you need to register. And the other thing is, if you're not sure if you're registered, almost all of the states have a free search where you just literally Google Secretary of State business search for Alabama and it pops up the website. You type in your business name. If you're registered, it'll show up and it'll show the status of your registration, whether that be active, in bad standing, in good standing, so on and so forth. There's a couple states that aren't free, one being like Texas, I think costs $1 to search, and then Washington, D.C. recently changed their site, so they're a little bit harder to search as well.